third Saturday in October. In Alabama, it's a lot of things for people. Alabama-Tennessee game.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, it's something a little bit more, and something that I don't always talk about. And as I get older, it becomes easier to talk about. It was on a night just like this, full moon, 18 years ago. 18 years ago. Growing up with my grandmother, I had a knowledge and an understanding of the arts, that sometimes been known as the dark arts, and sometimes known as conjuring, magic, folk magic. It was an experience of me growing up that I basically took in as a part of my life, and I knew a lot of things about it. And growing up, I tested it in a lot of different ways. But on this night, I wanted to actually push the envelope. Was it a death wish? Maybe. I know people have asked me that in my close circle, did I ever expect it would happen? And I've never really answered it, but tonight I'm going to answer it. And the answer is yes, I knew. Maybe I did want it to get me that night, but it didn't. And I wish it kind of did now, because it still haunts me to this day. But it's also led me down the road that I'm on. We took out for a journey one weekend. We all used an excuse that we was going to work this event. It was planned out in exquisite details. We was going to spend the day at a campsite. We set our tents. We had everything laid out. We knew we was going to go have some drinks and relax and watch the Alabama and Tennessee game. Fellowship. It was my cousin, who I trust at that time just like a brother. My two friends that I've grown up together and knew them and trusted them, my brothers as well. And two other friends that basically was just our friends. Wasn't as close as the others. As we sat there and had our drinks, we had our plan set and we knew exactly what we was going to do. Hump and Trey had an idea of what was fixing to happen, but they just didn't know. My cousin knew exactly what was fixing to happen. We made our way there. We set our tents, as I said before, and we made our way to the crossroads that we wanted. We set our tents by the water. There was a lake there, and we went there, and I went to the lake and got some rocks out of the lake. It was imperative at that time that you had to get the rocks from a running stream. We really wasn't technically a running stream, it was a lake, but that's where we got our rocks from. We went to the crossroads and found our perfect location. An isolated spot with two roads crossed, and we had everything we needed. I don't know if it was black cat bones, and I'm not always comfortable when I told the story telling it was, but my cousin told me it was, so I trusted him. So I had the black cat bones, I had the rocks in the water, and we buried it. But we did it not at midnight as the story and legend go. We did it right after that afternoon, around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We went and had us some drinks. We buried them on that road. We said what we had to say, and our plans was to return that night after midnight. You know, it's cliche, and a lot of people says it ain't true, but it is. If you want to do good work, you do it before midnight. And you really want to do the good conjuring, you do it after midnight. But sometimes for the best deal to cook, you start simmering early, and that was our game plan with our ritual and our magic. It was done to perfection. But one of the mistakes we made, we didn't really want anything out of particular except earthly possessions of fun. That's it. As many as you think, if I had a wish, if I was going to do it, we're going to be like Robert Johnson and we'd want to record and become great musicians. No. We wanted wealth and fame. No. We didn't have an idea of what we wanted because we knew it was all about what we was bringing to this plane. That's what it was about. And what rewards we was going to get, we just wanted to have fun for that time being, and then we wanted to dance with the devil after that. You know, if we sit down and have drinks, I will tell you that two of my brothers, David and Trey, would probably tell you that we would hope to conjure it and try to fight it. Think how silly that sounds. But that's really was probably something they was thinking. But in my mind, I just wanted to bring it and see what it would do. We did our magic. We went back to to our campsite. We went to the big shower house, showered, got dressed, and we went to a local bar. We made our way there. We had a good time, and it was very strange. We went across the street. The bar on one side, it's in the middle of nowhere. It was a bigger place. It was empty. So we literally walked at an angle across the street, and we walked in there, and it was full. I mean, it was so crowded. It was a lot smaller, and we walked in. It was like everybody knew us. We had people buy us drinks. We was laughing and joking. It was the best time ever. And you know, ladies, everybody was actually drawn to us. Unbelievably drawn to us. Well, our bartender, our waitress at that time, my cousin talked her into leaving. Now, I don't know how much he really talked her into it, because she said she knew a happening spot for us to let's go and leave. And she literally left her job and carried us to this another bar. And here's the strange part about the story, and everything about this story is absolutely to the best of my recollection of what happened. I can't tell you how we got there. I can't tell you where it was. I can't tell you anything about the place. But I can tell you we got there, and it was just a dance club, and it didn't fit the area, but it was a dance club. And once again, we was extremely popular. Unbelievable. Well, as we got closer to midnight, the vibe started to change. And as soon as midnight hit, I can only tell you the crowd turned ominous, where it was almost like a danger. And I can remember the waitress at that time was telling us she had to get back right now. I have to get back right now. And we was in two vehicles. My two other friends, one of them was a fireman, the other one was just a regular laborer. We got into their vehicles. We decided, how are we going to ride? Am I going to ride with my cousin and my brothers, or am I going to ride with my two friends? For some reason, in my mind, I thought it was safer for my cousin and that waitress to get in the truck with my two brothers, and I would ride with my friends. We made our way all the way back to the original place we started at the bar. And when we got there, we parked next to each other, rolled our windows down, and there was discussion amongst us about what we should do. If my cousin should walk her back in, because I can only describe to her that she, in her face was absolute terror. She was terrified. I've never in my life seen anybody as frightened as that young lady was. And here's the weird thing about it. I can almost tell you she had a short skirt on, a halter top. She was a typical waitress in a redneck honky-tonk bar that I can describe when she left. But when she was inside that car in the fear, there was almost as if she was almost childlike. I can't explain it, the fear. I've never seen fear like that. And here's the craziest thing. I was in another vehicle with the windows down. And these are both large Dodge trucks. My brothers and them, they had a 4-door, and ours had a back seat we had to climb through to get in the back seat. And the windows down, I could almost feel her fear. Well, to all of our dismay, my cousin said he was going to walk her in. He walks her in, and he comes out running, telling us we got to go. And I don't know what happened. There was a large bang. All basically hell breaks loose outside in that parking lot. It's just noise, people everywhere. We didn't know what to do. The car I was in, the driver panicked, and he floors it and slings rocks on everybody, on all the vehicle, everybody out there, and he takes off. And he leaves my two brothers and my cousin. And as we heading down this road, we're going in an opposite direction we came in. And before we know it, we're at a dead end. He took off down a dead end road. And then for some reason, I remember we parked. My brothers, Cameron, and pulled up next to us, and we all sat there and we talked. Because we knew what was waiting ahead of us. We was in trouble. We decided to go back the other way. It was almost racing. And I can't tell you the fear. The best way you can compare it is if you're getting ready to play a big football game and you're getting ready to come out. You knew something huge was fixing to happen. And for me, it wasn't really as much as fear at that point. It was almost like a battle. And I knew instantly. When we looked at each other in that car, that dark, dead-end road, we was parked side by side, and we looked at each other. We knew when we went forward, our life would never, ever, ever be the same again. We knew that what we did at those crossroads brought forth what was waiting on us. I can't explain to you, and we didn't know what it was. We knew something was coming. And in this time period in our life, we was the closest thing to gangsters as you can imagine. And I'm not buttering our bread, I'm telling you the truth. We wasn't afraid of anybody or anything. It's almost like sometimes we had a death wish. We moved our trucks forward, and we went back to the place whence we came, that same direction. And waiting out for them, when we got there, the parking lot, the club, and everything was empty, desolate. And waiting there in the shadows was one car. It's almost that's almost like a Malibu. As I recall it now, it's a Malibu, and it had two people in it, in the front seat. My two brothers, my cousin, was in front of us. We was behind, and we went right past that vehicle, and that vehicle pulled in, took out right out behind us. We never ran from anything, but that night we was running, and we could not get away from this vehicle. We was going down these dark, turning roads, and that vehicle stayed right behind. I'm talking about right up under us. And we, in that car, I can tell you, in our car, the two brothers, which was our friends, was absolutely terrified. They didn't know what to do. In my mind, I was screaming, we should stop. We should stop and face them. And I know what was been told to me, humping him in the front truck was telling us the same thing. As we went forward and made our way, I can tell you it's almost like I connected to my brothers, my cousin in that truck. We was in some plane that did not exist where our cars was racing. And when I could feel that vibration, the motors, the voices, everything went silent, and it was almost like in a humming vibrational place. And the car comes beside us. We're on a 2-lane dark road with twists and turns. And we was traveling in excess of 90 miles per hour or more, and the car came right up beside us, side by side of us. And in that car was two guys. They looked exactly the same. And this is in the middle of the night. Cars is only lit by the headlights. But I could see in that car, we was almost racing in daytime. It was real daylight. I'm there. I can see it right now. The passenger turned his head and looked at us, and his eyes was jet black. There's no pupils, just large black holes in his face. The car lets off, falls behind us, and almost when the headlights are out of sight and we're back in the darkness, and the car comes back again, races up beside us, it becomes daylight again. The person turns. Now we're seeing him. We're seeing him. All three of us is seeing him. And before I knew it, he's inside the front seat of the car, side by side on that 2-lane highway. And the next thing you know, he was in our car. He was in our car. All I remember is the motor hearing the car go boom. We left a 25-foot embankment, going to excess over 80 miles per hour. And at that point, I didn't know what happened. When I awoke in a mangled, destroyed vehicle, the back windshield is out of the truck. It was later determined that my body busted it out because I didn't have a seatbelt on, but I wasn't ejected from the car. My two friends in the front seat I thought was dead. There was no movement. And I climbed out the back window of the car, and the only thing of the truck, and the only thing I was thinking that they was going to come back and going to kill us. And I thought I was the only one alive. I have to realize, when I thought I was the only one alive, I wasn't afraid of a human blood. I was afraid that we was actually doing battle with something that was in a physical form from another earthly realm that we encountered. I made my way on top of the hill, and by the time I got to the top of the hill, I don't remember how I got there. I don't even remember to be honest, I remember thinking Pacifically, but I don't remember coming out the back window. I don't remember any of that except I was at the top of the hill, and Hump and Trey and my cousin returned back with their truck, and they was absolutely as pale as can be and terrified. They explained to us that they actually exchanged gunfire. They fired at that car numerous times and did not hit them, did not make contact with them, and they chased them, and the car literally disappeared in their sight, just went away. Literally disappeared in their sight. Even as I tell the story now, it shakes the realm of the place I live now, because every time I talk about it, I bring it back to life. Because this happened. It's real. It occurred. The trooper said they don't know how we all survived. I had broke ribs, I had a severe concussion. And I remember when they released us from the hospital, we all came together one time. My two friends who the car I was in, which they luckily survived, my cousin, Hump and Trey. And we talked about it one time as a group. And we all agreed that we will never, ever talk about it again as a group. Those two friends that wasn't our brothers, they left us and we have not spoken since. We stay Facebook friends, but we don't talk. Because every time we see each other, it almost comes up. And when I'm with Hump and Trey and my brothers and my cousin, we shared something and was a part of something so dark and so real that we all think it's best to let it go and not talk about it. But no matter where we go and what we say, that darkness we encountered, what we brought forth to this realm is never far away from us.